Hello.
Oi!
Oi, 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 oi. How's it going?
One team.
Right, she's coming. Don't panic. She's coming. There she is. Here we go. We're winning.
Hey, 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 hey. Finally, come on.
Well done.
Hey, well.
Yes, I think
Just
congratulations is in order.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, congratulations, Rachel, on the community support. That's epic, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we're actually quite nervous. So,
Very.
We just, for us it's huge being able to have you guys on That's right. Fortunately, I don't have to queue anybody, otherwise I'll be ripped apart here. So.
No queuing happening now.
Yeah, so we're very thankful. Thank you for your time, firstly, man, huge. It's having the real OGs on the podcast and
Seminar King, bro.
I think
Seminar King and Queen now.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I've got a list of questions which
Father and grandmother.
GGs. No, really, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I don't know. We're gonna do like a segment where we just big you guys up big time before we release it, and then we're obviously going to the podcast when we air this thing. But I just wanted from our side, thanks so much. And the questions, if they don't really fly, then just we can boot them.
Okay, we can cut it. We can edit it. Don't worry.
Whatever you guys
We'll make
like,
you look good.
Don't worry about that. Fire away. You know me. I've got no filter anyway, so you can ask me whatever you want. No drama.
You do. Yeah, you go for it. Well, I've started with a soft one, but just for the couples. For the couples out there, how did you guys meet, and how did you guys obviously fall in love with CrossFit? How did that happen? Because I know 2004 you got into CrossFit, so I think you probably met before that. I'm not sure.
Well, do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, you can tell the story.
All right. So we met in a bar in Canary Wharf because I was working up there in a gym. The entire 5th floor of the HSBC Tower in Canary Wharf is a gym.
Yeah.
And I was working there as a trainer, and I went to a night out in a bar. Friend of a friend, she was worked on the reception at the gym. She was a housemate with another group of girls with Rach. Rach had only been in London a couple of weeks, I think. And so it was just a night out, and Rach happened to walk into the bar, and I was like, tidy, but I was out with the boys, so I was just like, in the mind, but no, I'm out with the boys. So we were out having a drink and stuff. It was one of the boys' leaving dues, in fact, from work. And then we kind of like, the traditional locked, very drunken eyes over a bar, and struck up a conversation, and then agreed to meet up a couple of days, or maybe next week or something like that later. I don't even remember. It's a few years ago now. And that was it. But I was already doing CrossFit at the time.
Nice.
So I guess I have the dubious honor of introducing it to you, I guess, really.
I guess so. You hadn't been doing it that long.
No.
Had you a couple of months, maybe?
Yeah, a couple of months, something like that. But yeah, just playing about with it. A buddy of mine had introduced me to it in that gym that I was just talking about. So yeah, real early days though. Real early days.
Yeah, 2004. That is legitimate.
That's great. So a wedding and a few grams later, happy days.
2004.
That's it, where did the last sort of 15 years go? You know what I mean?
That's incredible, man. That's incredible.
Great story.
And then on a CrossFit note, favorite workouts. What is
Come on.
What do we have?
Well, you better go first.
I quite like Randy.
Of course she does.
Anything with a snatch or a dumbbell snatch or anything like that. I'm short and I've got no range of very short range, haven't I? So
yeah, true.
Anything snatch based.
I got a few. I've always liked Helen because it was my first workout, the one that like showed me how unfit I truly am. But I really like the combination of movements in things like Nasty Girls, right? Because you got, nobody really does high rep air squats anymore, and they suck, but they're really good.
Yesterday, all 3 300.
Yeah, right. Just so much fitness in such a simple movement.
Yeah.
And then obviously the skill and the muscle up. And then you've got like the load that, well, I'm a light dude, so I can't switch off on a 60 kilo barbell, right? I've got to concentrate a bit there to get 10 reps. So yeah, there's probably an even split between those two workouts for me, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So that's incredible, man.
That's great, man.
Well, the next thing I would like to find out from you guys is, well, firstly, my story is 2013. I emailed you, Rachel, at 3D. I don't know if you definitely won't remember it, but
I remember it.
I found this thing, CrossFit. Well, actually, my wife found it. Let me put it like that. And I was an Ironman triathlete, and I was like all guns blazing. This is the fittest. And she told me these people claim they're the fittest in the world, and I was like, no ways. There is just no ways. And she said, well, just go and try this workout. My friend in South Africa is doing it, and just try this thing. And obviously, I was working at a gym in Kensington, and I tried this workout, and it was just a mare. I can't even remember what it was. And I immediately got switched on to it. And I emailed you at CrossFit 3D saying to you, listen, I want to come and stay in Manchester for a week. I'm going to stay in a guest house. I want to just come and pick your brain, see what you guys do, because we potentially want to open something. And I was taken aback by your professionalism. That really stood out for me. This was the first time I had contact with anybody in CrossFit, and the way you immediately got back on the email. I mean, I would ask you probably the worst questions, all kinds of stupid stuff, and you would just reply these messages, and I was just like, wow, this is incredible, and that's how it should be done. And we took that away, and we strive even at our gym, when people email or they phone or they text, to immediately give a response. So thank you very much. Kudos to you guys. That was huge. Yeah, something I'll never forget.
Yeah, and then he harped on at me about it to say you need to draw close to this woman because she's so good, and like it's like people like her. I'm like, you want me to email her as well?
Yeah, so anyway, I didn't end up coming. I went and I did my level 1 in Barcelona, and you were the flow master in Barcelona, Karl. And I think my only saving grace was that everything was translated. So there was a time. I had a constant. I could write this stuff down when this guy was translating. And it worked out well.
You'd be used to the accent, buddy. Mine's mellowed since I moved away from South London, mate. You'd be used to it.
Yeah, just on that. So the rise from walnuts, right?
Yeah.
The rise from walnuts to being the level 2 flow master and CrossFit Seminar King OG. I mean, can you just talk us through those first dreary days in the Walnut Center? I mean.
Hey, buddy, I'm a proper local boy, right? So raised in Sidcup, Birkbeck Road. I went to Birkbeck Primary School, spent my time in Waring Park, man. We moved to Burnt Oak Lane. I went to Hurstmere School. Like I was raised in Sidcup, my man, until like I left at 24, 25. So when I went to Orpington College, that was I then applied for the closest place I could do some work, right, which was the Walnuts Leisure Centre, and that was where I started recreation assistant, which is a posh term for dog's body, like do everything. So got my lifeguard qualifications and worked there. That's where I started really looking into the fitness world as well. Got a couple of the first qualifications there, but worked predominantly like on the pool side and on the leisure side. Didn't really get too much involved in the gym. It was in that time I got offered a role to go over and work. What's the one in Bromley called? I've forgotten now. It's probably changed names anyway. But the one that's attached to like the shopping centre. There's a leisure centre there too in Bromley.
Glades.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
So got offered to go and work in the gym there anyway, and then at that time though, I got also offered to go and work for the David Lloyd Leisure Centre in Sidcup, which I think is still there. I'm not too sure. I haven't been down in years. And then so I was like, well, local authority will go to David Lloyd. Look at that kind of place. I'm going to go down there. So I jumped into the David Lloyd just because it was, you got all of the tennis courts and all the fancy stuff, right? So I thought, yeah, I'll go and work there for a while. So stayed there for 3 years, and kept trying to amass a bit of knowledge and experience and all that kind of stuff. Still, you know, as I know now, ineffective training realistically, you know, like you'd spend loads of time chasing the fitness world, right? And you just longer and slower was better, right? So you're like, oh, you know, I'll go and run half a marathon, then do a marathon, and that's fitness. And then realize that you're piss weak and not good at anything. So then I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go and lift some weights in the gym and then get out of breath going up the stairs and be like, damn, this sucks. So just playing that seesaw for too long.
Yeah.
Then left there to go and work for the company that I ended up working for in the HSBC Tower, which was they staffed all the corporate gyms, right? So if any of the gyms had a wellness suite or a gym or anything like that, then basically they didn't really know what to do, but they knew they had to have a provision for their staff, right? So they just throw in loads of equipment in a space in their head offices in, you know, all the big blue chip companies. And the company I worked for tended to staff those gyms basically. So they had all, you had to work as a locum first of all for them. So when you started work, you just went and covered sickness, illness, maternity leave all around the city of London, any venue really. And then after a period of time, I think it was like 6 months, you could then apply for a permanent position at one place. So I applied for the position at the Fifth Dimension, which was the gym name of the HSBC Tower, and got that job. And that took me through to 2005, 6 was when I left there.
Yeah.
2005, I think I left there. That's the last step that I took into a Globo gym at that point, other than to, you know, commiserate with folk who were still there.
Yeah, I feel you.
Sure.
I feel you.
Absolutely.
So, Rachel, congratulations on your. Well, I mean, we got the email, so it's. I mean, it's for. I read the email. It's. Well, it sounds amazing, but what does it? What does it entail? You know, what does your new job role entail with regards to affiliates and stuff like that?
Well, thank you first. It's not set in stone, and I think this is the really cool thing is that the positions that they've created, that they've got the country managers, and then they have the community support underneath or alongside. It's all so intermingled. It's brilliant the way that they're allowing each country to almost like tread the line with their own affiliates to develop the role for what the country needs. So it's going to be completely what the affiliates need is going to make the job. So I'm here to serve.
Sure.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's
Well, that's amazing, man. That's. I mean, I've been. That's. We're looking forward to getting involved in that, and I mean, from affiliate point of view, I mean, what do you guys take on for something we've only been doing this for 5 years, but I mean, something I've noticed, and it's not a bad or a good thing, and we're all in the same boat, but affiliates generally don't talk to each other. That's what I find. That's
weird.
maybe you guys have see it. Maybe up north it's different, but I mean over here in Kent it's more of a. I would say, and not to. I mean, anybody watching this podcast would know that it rings true with everybody, but it's more of a cutthroat kind of thing. Whereas you know, for us, and it's something that I picked up at the seminars and picked up listening to you, Karl, as well, and Ollie and stuff. It's more a case of the more people that do CrossFit, the bigger CrossFit gets, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been of the opinion that when I got in the first year or two, we wanted to do this nice old school throwdowns, and I saw you guys used to invite people to your place and do barbecues on Saturdays and do like a Saturday WOD, and that's what I had in mind when we opened the gym. So when I started phoning around other affiliates, it's like a friendly dog coming to get a smack, you know. I was like, hey guys, we're affiliate here in Orpington, and we'd like to do throwdowns on a Saturday. How about you come with your athletes and we do a barbecue afterwards? And you know, that was shut down quite quickly, and I realized that you know, that's not that's maybe not how we do this. But anyways, my question would be is how are we going to bridge that? Because to me is I don't mind if someone opens up a kilometer from us.
Yeah.
To me, it's more a case of the more people that really it is. The more people. I'm not
doing CrossFit is.
Yeah, you know, we're proud of what we do. We believe in what we do.
Confident.
We're confident in what we do. We're not insecure about it. So if people come here, they come here. If they leave, they leave.
Yeah, man.
And if they go to your box, kudos to them. If they found something they enjoy there, you know. So what are your guys' take on that?
Want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Yeah, love it. All right, so keep doing what you're doing. You know, it's I think where it comes from is people's insecurity about building a business. You know, like when we start off, you're very like worried about whether what you're going to do is successful or not, right? So you're like, you got your overheads, you got your rent, you got your all this kind of stuff, and you're like, and you're so invested personally that every time that somebody does leave, as an example, it would be quite hard not to take it somewhat personally. And some people take it wholly personally, right? Because they've invested so much in that individual. And so you can quite honestly see how some folk would see any other person providing what you're providing as competition. And now we know that's not the case, right? Because there's so many folk in the world. Like if you think about it, the percentage of people that train regularly of the world, right? Tiny. The percentage of that actually does CrossFit, even tinier still, right? So, you know, it's like your ability to cast that net is huge. And actually that's where our biggest challenge is. It's not in convincing fit people to do CrossFit. They're either A, doing it, or B, doing it and pretending they're not. And so that's basically it, right? You've got more of the world that we can help, you know, like those are the ones that's got the bigger market, if you want to put a term on it, right? There's a bigger market of folk out there that we can help that we haven't got to yet. So the more people doing it, the better. And what it takes is, I always find that in the absence of leadership, lead. Do you know what I mean? Like if so you're leading, continue to do it. Leadership ain't nice though, man. You're up on a pedestal. You'll be doing stuff that others will be poking at you. They won't like it. And that don't matter. You still lead. So you're doing things for the right reasons, for the right people. So you keep rolling, man. And you'll be surprised, you know, like you'll get the vocal minority of people might start poking, you know, like that's fine. Take it. That's what the role takes, right? But the very silent majority will be saying right on, and they'll follow you. And that's the thing. You just keep generating a community. That's all we've ever done, and that's all you have to do. You just have to, you know, keep reaching out. People don't want to turn up to the barbecue, so what? You'll still have a kick-ass barbecue. You know, like just have a good time. If you want to have a beer after a workout, you know, if that's the vibe of your box. I know some people don't in this weird professional world of CrossFit, but all right, cool. You do your vibe, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. So it's tough sometimes. I totally get it, but I do understand it all at the same time as well. You're dealing with complex things, which are human beings and personalities and emotions and shit. So I think a lot of the time you just have to be like, well, this is what we do, and we'll try and keep it true to what we believe CrossFit should be and develop in a community. And if you've got a few folk who don't want to be in for that, then that's cool. You let them do their thing, right? But that doesn't change who you are and what you do. That's something that we had to learn the hard way through hindsight. We kept trying to bend to other people's wills. Do you know what I mean? Like to make everybody happy without realizing that the true essence was, stick to your core beliefs and do what we think's right. And you'll be surprised how many people are like, yeah, you don't need to change a damn thing. Like what you're doing is great. So I think that's the hardest thing, is to keep reaching out, keep doing it, and not get distracted by what others do. You know, like you're not responsible for others. You're responsible for you. So keep doing your thing. That's all we've ever done. And it hasn't fucked us yet. Too much. Too much.
That's awesome advice. I really love it.
Great. Yeah. I could just add to that and say, I think that the situation over the last year or so with COVID has really brought a lot of affiliates together and actually realised that we are all fighting the same fight.
Yes.
And I've really love to see the almost like the camaraderie and the support that everyone's had for each other during that. And I mean, sometimes it takes something bad happening to actually gather people together, isn't it? Yep. So I think that's been really cool, and I'd love to see that continue once the world gets back to some sort of normal. And I think the other thing that maybe we've been lacking a little bit, and this is just purely because we just haven't had the resources in the countries to do it yet, is I know Ollie is working towards getting affiliate gatherings on a UK and Ireland level. So I think that will really help. I think that will really help to solidify that we are in a community, and it's fine to talk to each other and share ideas and that sort of thing. Yes. When that will happen is totally dependent on when the country opens back up again. Yes. But I think from Karl's point of view, teaching level 1s and level 2s, that they've found that actually the social part of that is that the affiliate owners will get together and they'll they'll talk about, oh, you've got that problem at your box. Yeah, we've had that. And, you know, they'll get talking. And I think that builds the community more that way. So I think it will happen going forward, that the people will be a lot more willing to join with a lot of things.
I think it's pushing forward and being able to formalize what happens naturally when you get a group of CrossFitters together. You know, like if on a level 1 you just end up talking smack and enjoying each other's company, right, for that period of time you're together. Likewise, on the level 2, you've got people who've got a bit more experience now in the game, right? So they've got more skin in the game, or they've got, you know, they've been running an affiliate for a couple of years. And a lot of it is you sit there and you think that any successes and or maybe even issues that you have at your box are unique to your 4 walls, right? So people come there and go like, hey, we've got this success story. It's, I don't know, Bob, and he's done X, Y, Z. And someone will be like, well, I've got a Bob. They're just called Jane. And, you know, like, and it's like, oh, cool. And you'll do all this stuff. And then they'll also be like, do you guys have, you know, this dude in your gym, right? And they'll be able to lay out the characteristics and everything. Yep, we got one of them too, or maybe we got 5 of them, or whatever it may be. And then so it becomes a big powwow. And a lot of the times is you just have like these relevant topics. My job half the time is like, should we get back to the point of like the lecture now, or are you all done? You know, like, all right, cool, winner, like happy, we're happy, right? Let's move. And so but that's the beauty of getting a group of trainers together. And so, if you can get affiliate owners together, they'll probably spend a couple hours whinging, right? That's standard, because that's what anybody does when folk get together, right? You'll have a little bit of a sook about stuff. And then, you know, and then after that, it'll be like, all right, cool. Now that's off our chests. Now we can dive into the cool stuff, right? Like, so how can we help? Like, what strategies have you been doing at your box? You know, I think that's where, you know, I'm biased, right? But I'm proud to be from here. And it's like, I think we've got some really cool initiatives and really good people here. And it's making the larger community aware of that, right? Because from my experience, when I first started in CrossFit, there was a central message board on .com where everybody went like that. Like everybody went there to ask questions, to even find out about local community. Like that's where I found out about the other 5 people in the UK that were doing CrossFit at the time. You know what I mean? It's like but you could ask questions and people would give relevant input. And I think that kind of thing is somewhat lost, right? Because I think that's the draw of the open a lot of the minute, right? It's not necessarily that people want to compete. It's just that they're doing the same stuff with everybody else around the world. So they can be like, you've got an instant rallying point and a talking point. Like, I'm not a competitive CrossFit athlete, but I do the open. So as everybody can be like, I don't know, hey, 21.7, wasn't that a shit show? Like, you know, but you've got that absolute buy-in with everybody, because that was the community I was introduced to back in the day. It was an international one. Everybody logged on to CrossFit.com and did that workout of the day. You know, they discussed scaling options amongst each other. People would be like, hey, where do you go for equipment? How do you build this? Like, I'm interested in doing this. Who's in my area? And people would jump on and they'd be like 24 hours a day, would just be like discussing best practice, would be helping each other out. And then as it grew, we lost that. And I think now this is with the new things that are being put in from like home office, not allowed to call it headquarters anymore, home office. From home office moving forwards, then there's a lot more, you know, step out of your lane if you're in a position in the community, and actually trust your gut and run with it. And if it's successful, we'll pick it up. Whereas before it was very much dictated to, you know, like, you do this and don't step out of your lane. It was very, very much built that way, but it's been flipped on its head. And from a business practice and being involved in that entity for over a decade, that's a really refreshing place to be, because you've now got your leadership, instead of saying, hey, shut up and do your job, which is fine. I've been in plenty of instances where that's happened, but that's cool. That's absolutely fine. Now you're in a place where they're like, no, we trust you. Step out your lane, trust your gut, do what you think's right, and we'll support you. And that is a truly exciting place to be. You know, it's an exciting place for Rach involved in the community support. It's an exciting place for me as being a member of CrossFit and the seminar staff too. I mean, realistically, my job, apart from COVID, hasn't changed. You know, like, my job is still to do what I do. But I think from the wider community point of view and from a CrossFit point of view, I think it's really fucking exciting. Like, I'm stoked to see where it goes, because there's more support and there's more, you know, you're not just a group of disparate individual affiliate owners just trying to figure stuff out unless you want to be. And I think that's kind of cool too. It shouldn't be like, hey, you don't have to be a part of this thing if you don't want to be. But also if you are, how can we help that? And I think that's super exciting rather than the very hands-off approach that's been in the past, right? Which is just like, you got CrossFit above your door, good luck. And that was pretty much it, right?
Just by the
yeah, right. It pretty much was. And then you figure it out. And I mean, ironically enough, there weren't many people getting involved in running CrossFit affiliates who were business people first and trainers second. It was 100% the other way around. And so as a result of it, you had a load of people super passionate about coaching, about community, about training people and overcoming, whatever obstacles are in their way. That's what fires me up. I mean, CrossFit games, it don't fire me up as a coach. It's great to watch, but it's don't fire me up. I don't open my doors for that. But, it would have been great to have a resource to just be like, instead of like, we just be figuring stuff out, like you get a bill and you'd be like, fucking hell, where'd that bill come from? Like, I wasn't expecting that. It would have been, yeah, right. But it just would have been, I think now we're in a position where there looks like there's going to be the infrastructure and the support to then be like, well, cool, here we go. Like there's a resource to at least ask that question. And that means now there's worth in being a CrossFit affiliate beyond just it being cool to be a CrossFit affiliate. You know what I mean? There's worth to being involved, which is pretty damn cool in my opinion.
Agreed.
It's going. No, it's amazing.
No, I'm very excited.
Hey, you quiet man?
Yeah.
I'll ask a question.
I'll pick from my short list of 3 questions. But
there's a proper accent. There he is. That's a proper accent.
It's a proper accent.
Listen, brother. During the Rona, he's been living with us. He's got the Rona. He's like our housemate now.
I'm in. I'm all for it.
He's like, yeah.
I'm here for the vibe.
You want some coffee flavor? Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Lekker, bro.
Yeah. So, my question is more of I've only really been doing CrossFit for 3 years. It's not even that long. What would you guys say? You guys have been doing it for such a long time. I'm sure you've seen like loads of challenges and obstacles over those times. But what sort of advice would you give to any young person who's maybe thinking of doing this as a career? What are the things would you say? Focus on this, don't focus on that. Stick with this, don't stick with that, don't waste your time with that. What would you guys say? What would be the best advice?
Whoa, that's such a good question. So, want me to go?
You can go first, yeah.
See,
I'm quite happy.
I'm the talker. If it comes to understanding CrossFit, it's try not to fall into the volume trap is going to get you more results, for one. I can say that as being 40 years old and having done this thing since I was 23, 24. Like, trust me, the volume thing ain't going to get you more results because I've tried it. And it's like intensity over volume. So like one workout a day at high levels of intensity will get you lifelong results and fitness in ways that I'm fitter now at 40 than I was at 23. And I wasn't a slouch at 23. But like on all of the markers, I'm fitter now at 40 than I was at 23. Now, if you'd have told me at 23 that would be the case, there would be swearing and lots of shaking of my head involved, right? Because I wouldn't believe it, but the facts don't lie. So I'd just be like, hey, focus on the intensity. It's not about how much work you do. It's how hard you go at it and how well you move, especially if you want to protect yourself in the long term, right? So that's why coaching is important. Now, that's just from the perspective of the program and doing it as an athlete, right? Or as a participant in CrossFit. The second thing is, if you're looking to make this as your career, then this is the best time that there's ever been to be a professional trainer. Like there is now, that's a craft, that's a trade. Like as I was learning my craft, most of my family and my peers were about like, yeah, but when are you going to get a proper job?
Yeah.
Like, okay, get it. You're playing at this adult PE thing, but when are you going to go and get a regular job? And I'd be like, dude, this is my fucking job, and I'm proud that this is my job. I want to be a professional coach. And if we think about it, to be professional, then that means that you've got to be doing all the other things that a professional would be, which is receiving feedback, pushing yourself, getting the next level of credential, but also applying it too, recognizing that having knowledge is only one small piece, right? You've got to be able to recognize how much of that knowledge you need to use on a regular basis. It's probably not that much, but it takes you amassing that knowledge to be able to then recognize how little of it you need on a daily basis. You know, so it's about, you have to keep pushing, but receive feedback on what you do. And this is crucial because feedback is what makes you grow as an athlete, right? A coach can watch what you do and they'll be like, hey, do you know, if you found your heels a little bit more, you'd find those wall ball shots a damn sight easier and you wouldn't have to put it down so much. And you're like, oh yeah, Roger, thanks. That helps me. You know, feedback helps. Same with your coaching. You know, if somebody says, do you know what? If you talked a little less, then people could move a little more and then you could actually do your job of seeing and correcting. And you're like, oh shit, yeah, Roger. Okay, good feedback, right? And that's what helps you to keep growing and keep developing. It's not just the knowledge without the application. Because let's be honest, we all know people who have got letters after their name, who have got all the knowledge in the world. And let's be honest, they can't help but vomit that all over their people every single time they take the dance floor, right? They're up there like, hey, we're going to be learning the deadlift today. Let me tell you how much I know about the deadlift. And here's the thing, and it'll come out of their mouths to spend half an hour telling you all of this stuff, which realistically don't mean shit to the person on the dance floor, right? And they'll be using terms like, yeah, you know, I need to, well, you know, on this next repetition, I'd love to see 75% more heels on the ground because that's going to lead to more effective engagement of the posterior chain. And it's also going to keep that load closer to the frontal plane and help you to engage. And, you know, like people just, they've zoned you out already. You could replace all of that bullshit while on the next rep, keep your heels down. Yeah, that's better, bro. Good job. Now on to the next thing, right? So it's not about just, the knowledge is great, but it's worth nothing without application. So, and the only way that you can figure that out is through constant feedback. Otherwise, you're complacent. You know, like complacency sneaks up on you. You don't just wake up one day being complacent. It's just a drip feed of just accepting a little less each day, right? And so if you're on your own and you're never receiving feedback, I don't care how driven you are, guess what you'll end up being? Yeah, like every single one of us on this call right now will know of days where they just like, yeah, you know, that's about enough of me that you're going to get today, right? For whatever reason. And there'll be legitimate reasons, right? We've all coached multiple hours and maybe by that fourth hour on the dance floor, you're like, yeah, this is about as much as I've got to give right here. And that's you just accepting a little less each day, right? Whereas if you know that someone's watching you, guess what you'll do for that fourth hour?
Push.
Yeah,
you'll push, you'll bring it up, man. It's the same. It's exactly the same as if I'm doing a team workout. Like, I'm like, fuck, I've got to work hard now because somebody else's results rely on my effort.
Yeah,
and so that's why it's important that you receive feedback at all times. Doesn't matter what level. Get feedback, chase feedback, because it's the only way you're going to get better at your craft. You know, courses, great, but you know, it's worth nothing. And that's why I know I'm super biased, but I love the credential level in CrossFit because it's like you've got the 4 tiers, and it's like the 3rd tier is your knowledge. They'll test your knowledge. You'll sit a 4-hour exam and they'll test whether you know what you're talking about. But then once you pass that, no, you're not done yet. Now we're going to see if you can actually coach. And that's a big deal because it's like, now we're going to test you as to see if you can actually take that body of knowledge and can you actually teach people? And that is why I really love that flip flop, right? Because any other credential I've done is like, I sit a written exam and they're like, job done. You know what to do. Off you go. And then you're like, well, not really. How do I, and what do I, you know, like, and that's what happened to me at that gym in London. You know, everyone surrounding me was like with degrees and stuff in exercise science and physiology. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't me, bro. And they'd be like, but I'd be the ones who were kind of like, they'd be watching me and taking pointers from me. And I'd be like, because I had the practical ability, I guess, because I'd had to learn on the job. And it was a little bit weird because I'm like, well, surely you should know everything, right? You've been at uni studying this thing for 3 years. So, you know, like, what did you do in that time? And they're like, we read a lot. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's kind of like the downfall of just having the knowledge. You know, you've got to have both.
Yeah, that's good.
Long-winded answer, I guess, but I guess the big thing is intensity over volume and get feedback. I could have said that instead of spending half an hour talking, couldn't I?
There you go, there's your feedback. You talk too much.
Shut up. I'm not open to your feedback.
I'll add a couple more points on that. I mean, I think the get feedback, I've got a very similar point saying just learn from somebody. So now there are a lot of really, really good affiliates and a lot of really good trainers out there that are open. Just talk to people, say, look, can I run this past you? Or can I come and learn from you or anything like that? Get involved in the study group. There's all these resources now that weren't there in the beginning. So there's plenty of stuff to learn from now, which is awesome. I'd also say if you want to make this your career, you need to care about people, and you need to care about individual people and make it the best hour of their day and give them something to work on and ask them how their day's been. We were talking about this just the other day and saying this is the importance of heavy days. It's not just to get some heavy work done, but all the rest periods you've got in between your set of 5 or your set of 3 or whatever, you can check in with your members. You can see how they are. Say, Dave, how are your kids today? And it builds that community. And just solidifies that you care about these people and you care about them getting fitter and healthier. So that's a massive takeaway from that. And the last one, I just say, do the common uncommonly well. So there you go. I've heard that somewhere before. Yeah. So, if you don't know something, you go and learn it, go and implement it and just make your place the best that you can do. That'll be my takeaways, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
That's something that, I wish I had notes.
Yeah.
I actually, on the level 3, your study groups you're running, I feel so bad because I've saved every email, and my goal this lockdown is to go and print it all off and start watching it. But would you say it's just good to jump on next Wednesday and just start afresh? How long are you going to go for with that? Is that a permanent fixture, or is that like just on another note?
Yeah, I mean, I plan on doing it until people don't see the worth in it, right? Because I mean, we simply just started doing it as, honestly, to keep people busy during lockdown, to give a bit of worth back to the community, and also just to give an opportunity just to see some friendly faces. The last year, absent of COVID, was still challenging for the CrossFit community, right? There was a lot of turmoil went on. And so, trying to just get some friendly faces on a phone call or on a Zoom call once a week was primarily the main aim, just to, we'd press record, but you wouldn't have the 10 to 15 minutes of like smack talking and just like hanging out before we actually push record. Right. And then we'd start pushing record, and then people would go off on tangents again, and we just have a chat for a bit. So it was a bit of a drive that way. But I mean, there are a lot of resources just on the level 3 material that are posted, and all we're doing is just going through 3 a week. Right. So, and they take next to no time realistically to go through. Major takeaways. And then, just generally, I try to think of it as twofold. Like, what's the purpose? The first one is, if I'm not going for my level 3, then what's the realistic application for that knowledge out on the dance floor? So what do I need to know as a trainer? How's that going to help me to actually make my job more effective? And so that's the first point. And then the second point is, all right, so what's the learning piece from that article that's going to help me for the level 3? Because it's not just about the information that's in there. You have to have the mindset of, it's a topic that they're covering that you should have the knowledge of. So, a lot of folk will go in there and they'll be like, well, I never got any questions on, I don't know, this article. And you're like, well, no, they're not going to do that. It's just making you say, like, you should have a knowledge of this subject. And so if you don't, that probably should give you the helpful hint to go spend a bit of like brain space in researching it. So we try to do that, demystify it, because a lot of folk, I can draw on the experiences from the L3 as well. The L1 is, a lot of people didn't do too well on the exam because they were thinking way too in depth on minor details rather than just take away big concepts. And so it was, we tried to help people understand that. And then beyond that, if once we've done all of those articles that are even posted on the for the level 3, there are still a butt ton of other stuff we can go through. Like, we could dive into the level 1 manual, the level 2 manual. And then by the time we've done that, I'm going to say that we're probably 2 or 3 years down the line, because that's logistically what it's going to take. So then if people still see the worth, reset and just go back to the start again and keep running. And I mean, ideally, I don't want it or need it to be me running it. It would be great if, as at the moment, we've got already existing L3 trainers are still jumping on to that call just because they want to keep learning and be part of that conversation. it would be great to just be like, well, all right, now you get to do it for a period of time, and then like somebody else gets to do it for a period of time, and just make it something of worth for the community. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the main drive. We just thought if we start it off and we lead it for a bit and just keep pushing it, so as everybody kind of, it becomes almost a staple thing, then it's kind of hard to get rid of, because, you know, mercenary speaking, don't tell the bosses. But that's why I didn't ask their permission to do it, because it's harder to say no when you're already doing the fucking thing, right? It's very easy for people to say no to an idea, but if you're already doing the thing, it's much harder for them to say no to. So that was the main aim, right? If anything I took from the tumultuous time in CrossFit is now's the time to take the piss a bit and see if you get away with it in a good way. You know, like if there are things that you perhaps weren't allowed to do before because HQ had a bit of a control, then now's the time to try things that you think are going to be worth for the community. And and if it is, then, you know, it will stick, and that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
That's a well.
But to answer the question, whether you should actually just jump in or go through them, jump straight in.
That was only one of the questions, dickhead.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'll it's on here. I'm running it past the calendar. 1 o'clock every. Is it 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock Wednesdays. 12. I'll be there. 12. I'm on.
Come on.
Well, I mean, we got a bunch more questions, but I just want to maybe ask about this one. We had so we had 2 affiliates up until what's it, about
October?
5-6 months ago. 5 and it was a very young community, and the whole lockdown hit, and obviously with a young community, they're not all bought in. As in with this one, these guys are fantastic, and they learn. I mean, they're just not. We were young; we weren't even a year old. So for people then to small community buy-in and to say, hey, we're going to support you through the lockdown and whatever else. So we closed the second affiliate. We had to. We couldn't float it. But my question would be, because we believe in it so much and we know it's going to work. That's the thing. We believe in it so much. We know it's going to work. And we love doing it, and we want to give the benefit to people. What would you say is the right time? I mean, there is never probably a right time, but what is a good time to think about opening a second affiliate or a third affiliate? I think maybe we jumped the gun a bit early because we were so excited. There was a space that opened up, and we were like, let's roll. I don't think we had the infrastructure in place, the coaching in place. We're all about training up young people, but we didn't have that in place, I don't think. So what would you say? I mean, I probably answered my own question, but in your point of view, opening a second, a third box, what are the things that you really have to look for in the first box?
My honest personal opinion?
Yes.
Don't. Why?
Well,
why is more facilities or a bigger facility better? It's just the same as why is doing more CrossFit in a day better? It isn't necessarily, right? It's all about, I'd rather be known for a small fucking box in the middle of an industrial park in Manchester, as an example. I'd rather be known for having one tiny kick-ass box that people would travel for miles and miles and miles just to come and experience because they'd heard about, than be known as some business guru. I ain't a business guru, so I wouldn't be somebody says it's always a bugbear of mine when people would judge the worth of your affiliate on how many members you have. But people would be like, oh, well, I've got X amount, 100 members. So fucking what? That don't mean you're doing a good job.
Yes.
It's one litmus test of you seem to be popular for some reason, but that doesn't mean you're doing your job, right? We didn't get in this to play numbers games. It was other than to try and bring CrossFit to as many people as possible. And so in doing that, just stick to your guns, we moved out of the box where we had it nailed, I'd agree, based on, external feedback and pressure that was put on us that we listened to. which was, you know, we could do so much more with a bigger space. You could do much more stuff. Look at that gym down the road. They've just opened up a bigger box, and look what they can do now. An open gym this, and, you know, like more program like this, and more people in the box this. And we were like, fuck yeah, you're right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we grew, and then we were like, damn it, we made a massive mistake. Like this is not what we wanted. You know, like we lost control of what we wanted it to be, you know. And that's the beautiful thing about it being an affiliation model. You can choose to be 3, 4, 5 affiliates, you know, all singing, all dancing, be a business guru, but never actually gets to coach anymore because you sat in an office trying to manage logistics. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you want to be a trainer, then, you know, for better, for worse, Greg Glassman wasn't the best CEO of a company, but he was a shit hot trainer and understood this thing down to the T, and managed to almost fundamentally change the fitness landscape from an industrial unit in Santa Cruz. Tiny. Like, he made that place world famous. And so if I was ever looking for a litmus test as to how many people am I trying to bring CrossFit to, then it's like, you know, for his faults, that he showed the way. Like, he showed, like, focus on the excellence of what you do on a daily basis, be invested in the people that walk through your door, and be truly excellent at being a trainer. You know, push that forwards, care about folk. And like, that doesn't need to be in an arena. It can be. And and that's the great thing. You've got so many different facets of CrossFit now, right? Where you do have, you know, like the arena of CrossFit. You do have like the multiple CrossFits, and you do just have that, you know, the one almost like to coin an American phrase, the mom and pop gym, right? Which is just like a family with a really tight community, you know, probably less than 150 members, but they cover their overheads because they've got a small facility anyway. And they're living the lifestyle that they want, right? So you've got the business of CrossFit. Yeah, roger that. You've got the lifestyle of CrossFit, and you've got like any of these things. I think you just got to have an honest chat with what you want out of CrossFit, right? And so for me, it's like, I know what I want out of it. It's like, I would like to be able to cover overheads, you know, like rent and mortgage and all that stuff, and not be like worrying where the wage is coming from. But beyond that, I don't want to make my millions. I'm cool. Like, I'd enjoy this way of life. If I was just about the money, then I'd be suited and booted and doing a different job, wouldn't I? You know? So I think it's having those honest assessments about what you want out of the program. And if it's, ask yourself honestly, if you want multiple facilities, then cool, but that probably means that it's going to drag you away realistically from you being able to do what is the cool shit, in my opinion, which is the interactions, the dance floor. You're going to get turned into an admin guru, aren't you? You know, dealing with people who aren't paying their memberships, or, you know, sorting out strategies of timings, you know, like, you know, a 7 a.m. works at this facility, but it don't work at this one, or, you know, like and so it's, I don't know. It all depends on what you want out of it and what you sign up for. And for me, it wasn't, I don't want to be the office dude. Like, that's the worst thing ever in my mind. You know, like, that's what I didn't sign up for. The only reason why I started a CrossFit affiliate was because there wasn't one. Otherwise I would have joined one. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's I didn't want to run that shit. It's like, I just wanted to do it and coach it. So it was like necessity that made me run a CrossFit gym, but I didn't want to. But like now, I'd be that nerd trainer who never goes fucking home. Do you know what I mean? I'd be that guy. I'd be there who like turns up as soon as you open up and be like, yeah, I just want to hang here all day. Let me coach your classes. Let me get some feedback, you know, throw a free membership at me, and maybe, you know, I'll clean your toilets and shit. You know, like, I'm down, I'm fine. I'm good to go. And it's, so yeah, I think it just depends what you want out of it. Would be a very long way of answering another question. Sorry.
No, it's so great.
That was a great answer, bro.
Hashtag perspective.
Come on.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that just really blew my mind. I mean, I mean, just on the real, I mean, you can edit this stuff, but I mean, just on the real, it's like, my wife and I we're driven people. We always have been, you know, be it sport, be it whatever, you know, so you think, and it's, again, I mean, we spoke about to Ollie on the podcast as well about, you know, success, and he said, what do you define success as? And you know, again, lifestyle, our little rugrats on the backyard riding a half pipe, you know, it's like I bought that half pipe. It's I get to skate with my kids. You know, we go mountain biking. It's so true. You know, the lifestyle we have, and we are paying the bills, and we are mom and pop gym. I mean, our gym is small. You know, in the beginning I was like, flip, I hope nobody comes here. It's like, imagine Karl Steadman comes here, it's gonna be like, what is going on here? And it's like a, you know, it's like a 7.5 meter by 7.5 meter room, and then a bunch of changing rooms, you know, and in these changing rooms we make the magic happen, you know. So yeah, and what is success to you, really? Because you know, that is really something to go and think about. Yeah, thank you. That really brings it home.
My pleasure. Because here's the thing, right? I totally get it. I'm driven too, right? And so is this nutcase over here as well. You know, like I don't think you get anywhere without some kind of internal drive, a bit of fire, and a bit of wanting to be excellent at what you do. But you've got to marry that up against, you know, what is it that you're driving for? Like, what's the goal? You know, like it's because otherwise it's quite easy to get your head down. I mean, I think that's the easy thing, right? Graft, easy thing. Get your head down, work. You know, like I can get up, minimal sleep, punch it from dusk till dawn. You know, graft hard, do the thing, but then at some point you stick your head up and you're like, well, where am I headed? You know, like what's the goal? Like where am I? Like I'm fine with grafting. But at some point, I have to ask myself the question, like, where am I headed towards with this? Otherwise, you know, you wake up at 60, 65, maybe even 70, the way things are going, and you take the pension and you're like, okay, so I grafted, but what really have I got to show for it? You know, so I think you've got that piece right now, which is, I know we're super grateful for it, where we had that realization and we were like, well, we're sacrificing a lot here. But you know, we're missing out on time with the kids or with each other, and it's like, right, we're doing too much. We've got to get this back, otherwise it's gone. You know, like kids are only little, like once, and then all of a sudden they're teenagers and they're going to hate you anyway, right? So no matter what you do, so then it's like, right, I've got to try and figure this out before we get there. So yeah, I think there's that little piece of it. I'm totally down with the graft and the drive. Same, but you've also got to have that wider perspective too, you know, like where am I headed to with this graft? So I'm down for it. We've always talked about that, right? So hey, I'm totally down for the work. Fine, like you put me to work and I'll show you work, that's fine, but where are we going?
Yeah, what are we working for?
Yeah, like what are we working for, and where's it going? What's the end result? And then once you've got that, the rest is just logistics, like, all right, so what do I need to do to get there?
Sure. Yeah, you work backwards. Yeah, so good.
That's very good.
Deep.
Yeah,
my mind's blown.
Yeah, another one of the good questions there, bro. We got 2 more questions. Actually, three more questions. Do you guys have time? Are you all right?
Keep coming. Hey, we don't have any time constraints.
Yeah, that's the life up north, bro.
Come on.
You need some neighbors. We're redefining success right now, so we need some neighbors. We'll be over.
Yeah, do it.
Second question would probably be, it's a little bit about what was your sporting history? Like, have you ever done sports professionally, or have you ever competed professionally? Like, what did you do? Maybe as a teenager, or as a young athlete.
Sure. Go ahead.
Go for it. Yeah. Okay. My background was swimming. I started swimming probably around 6, 7, something like that. Started swimming for a club very soon after that. I was never national level or anything like that, but I was sort of the next tier, if you like. Backstroke and fly were the strokes that I was best at. Breaststroke, I was absolutely shit. And I just did that for years and years and years. Went to uni, joined the swimming team there, and found water polo through that one, which was awesome. And I was the captain of the swimming team there for a year. After uni, I went into the teaching side of it. So I was master swimming as well, but I was at the teaching side of swimming. And then after doing that, because I was doing that down in London actually when we met as a job just to pay the bills for uni. And then met you, and then that ended. CrossFit started, and I've been doing that ever since, to be honest.
Nice. Very nice.
Yep. No supreme athletic endeavors from me either. I mean, I was just a Johnny average at everything. Played all the sports as a kid, right? So dipped my toe in the water of all the stuff, footy, rugby, cricket, shit sport, but whatever.
I agree.
Like, you know, put my toe into everything, right? Had a natural aptitude for running, always had like an engine. So started looking at athletics and started, you know, noticed that I had a bit more of an aptitude at the kind of the top end of the sprints and the middle distance stuff. So 4s and 800. So I went and did a little bit of that for a while, not to any good standard, just kind of could run fast. Don't know why. Just, you know, how some folk can just seem to have that aptitude with a little bit of attention to detail. And so other than that, then just started playing around with, I've always enjoyed the process of just physically pushing myself, right? So ran a couple of marathons, always loved doing stuff that, you know, I wasn't specifically training for, because I've always thought that was what fitness was. You know, anybody can get prepared for a specific thing, because lo and behold, no matter what science tells you, you just do that specific thing a bit more fucking, like, that's all it is, right? You know, like, hey, you want to get better at running? Guess what you got to do? You got to run a bit more, you know, like it's not, you can go and learn more intricate stuff, but that's basically it. So I was always surprised how, and something that kind of put my mind onto other ways of training was, I was training to run my second London marathon and I hurt my knee playing football, just bad challenge, you know, luck of the draw, but it meant that I couldn't run. So I did all of the required like program and mileage and stuff. I did it on a Concept 2 rower in the gym, and I ran my fastest marathon ever by doing no running. And it was, and that kind of like blew my mind a little bit, right? Because I was fully in that mindset of like, oh, no, you got to be able to run to get better at running. And it was in that period of time that actually switched me onto, oh, actually, no, I need to look at other ways of training. So realistically, no high level athletic endeavors, nothing professional on my end, not even semi-pro. Wasn't that good at anything really. Just, yeah, I guess I'm good at growing facial hair. That's about it.
Well, last CrossFit question is the Open. The Open's coming. Just on a practical level, I mean, maybe just pick your brains with this. Is what if we are still in lockdown? I know they've released a whole bunch of different levels and stuff like that. What do you guys, as an affiliate, do you have any suggestions as to how, you know, to best? I mean, obviously Zoom and keep the people informed and stuff like that. But I mean, how to best run your Open, because Open for us is huge. We love the Open.
Oh.
I mean, you know, we
Friday
get
Night Lights.
I mean, I think at one stage we had 120 members and 70 of them were doing the Open. I mean, it was like waves. You start at like 4 o'clock, you're here till like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And then you're judging every single wave, and then at like 11 o'clock the community is like, right, it's your turn. And we want to see, and you know, we want to see the owners do it. I'm like, where's the Red Bull? You know, you know, get some juice on board, and then off you go. You and the other coach try and kill each other on the floor. You know, trying to. So we love the Open, but I mean, we can't obviously, if you online recreate that atmosphere, maybe you can, but I mean, what do you guys suggest? What are some of your suggestions, you think?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, Rach can speak to this in a minute, so I won't steal too much of her thunder, hopefully, but I know that there's, you know, every affiliate is currently in that place, right, where they're like, damn, Open's coming. A, how do we do the Open? You know, like, B, how do we generate the same level of community? And these conversations are happening, you know, at Rach's level and Ollie's level as well, where they're trying to be like, how can we support this kind of initiative? And so I think, you know, a lot of it is going to be like, if you can still do outdoor PTs, as an example, then that would be a great way of you getting, you know, individuals in. You just have to have, like, you know, you do your social distancing, you make sure you're not pissing on anybody's parade that way and stuff. But it's like, hey, so you can still come and at least get, you know, like, you involved with your community, right? It might not be a big community effort, but you know what I would then do as well? I'd videotape everybody's efforts as well, and then just kind of like post it up, you know what I mean? So as everybody can then start the banter like they would do, you know what I mean? Why'd you put the bar down then, you prick? Like, you know, it would be, I just think that would be a great way of generating, you know, just getting that small level of community. And then you could almost like, you know, play it all on a video, you know, that'd be fun, you know, just let everybody go together, almost like a Zoom call. But other than that, you know, I think it's weird for everybody. So I guess as close to normality as you can make it as possible. You know, call it straight from the get-go. This year ain't going to be like the other previous ones just because we can't be together. But that doesn't mean that we can't all get together, you know, like all do the workout. And then on Friday, why not do a Friday night lights, but just you don't,
Zoom.
yeah, but via Zoom, you know, like get a DJ in, get them cranking, you know, do the thing. And just, you know, it's not the same, but it's, you know, it's, we just have to, I always try and think of like a bit like nutrition, right? If you have the mindset of good versus bad, then you're always going to set yourself up for a bit of a failure, really. So if you just go like, hey, there's a more ideal or a less ideal solution, you know, like that means that that's good. You know, like the most ideal would be you all being in person. Okay, cool. So, you know, what's the next stage down? You know, it's not just going to be, all right, well, we chin off the open. That would be the worst thing, you know? So what's the next acceptable level? Well, we all do it together on Zoom. Those of you that don't want to do that, then we'll have these one-on-one situations where you can come to the gym, book your time slot, or we'll fire you through it one-on-one, you know, PT session. Do all the social distancing, have all the cleaning procedures in place. You know what I'm saying? You know, just make sure you cross those boxes. And then, you know, just give multiple options and just show that you, even just by giving those options, I think that shows care and your community will then feel that. Do you know what I mean? So it's, I think that would be my perspective, but I don't know if you can speak more to the.
You pretty much hit it spot on, to be honest. I think have a plan. So let's say, right, if we're still in lockdown, these are our options. Then have that as one plan. And then you can say, if we're in tier 4 or whatever they go back to, because we haven't even got a clue what they're going to do, have we? So if we're in this, like it was before, these are the things we can have. So as soon as it's got to the point where, all right, 3, 2, 1, go, we know which plan you need to go for. And that could change from week to week as well. I mean, it's only 3 weeks this time.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks.
So, I mean, it's not going to be a massive change in terms of what the government are going to stipulate. I wouldn't have thought over that short of a time frame, but at least if you have the options there from the start, you can like maybe even post it into a members group or something and say, right, if we're allowed to do it, this is what we'll do in this stage. If we're allowed to, this is what we'll do. So all the members know in advance of the options that there are, should you be able to use them. I think when CrossFit brought in the video submissions, I think that is what's going to save people a lot this year. So there is always that backup option. Now the trouble there is that not all of them will have the right equipment. So, but again, there's the options, and I think it's just do what you can with what you've got as well as you can. That's pretty much that's all we've got on that one. You know, we just don't know what's happening.
No, well, we need to come up with a serious plan. I think that's great. No. And then the last question is more like I see what you guys are doing. The cold water stuff. We've got a freezer in the back, so I'll send you a link of favors at first attempt. I mean,
Shameful.
It'll keep you crying for about 2 days. But yeah, we're doing that. How's that? How you find it? Is that like a daily thing for you guys? Do you do it every day? What is it? Where you at?
You know, it was a daily thing until real recently. And now like having to smash through like a couple of inches of ice on that sucker at the minute is just getting a bit mind numbing. But yeah, if I grab the computer and just show you outside at the minute, you'll see how cold it is at the minute. You can see the level of snow we've got. Yeah. So we're smashed up here. So it's been and having like the kids at home with the homeschooling as well just means, you know, we had a really good routine of like train, go sit in the sauna out the back and then jump in the cold water. And that was kind of like it was just a good little chunk of time. But as you can imagine, with the kids being at home at homeschool, unless you're looking over them, then they don't do their work. So it was like, right, what's the most important piece out of that? And for us, it's the training. So it'd be like, right, we'll carve out that area in our day, hit the gym, go train, and then we'll do the sauna and the dunk tank later if possible. But we're still in there, I'd probably say 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, but it was every day. Wasn't
it was every day, but we're still in there.
Needs must at the moment.
And to be fair, it's just conditioning. You would have found the same. You know, the first time that you get in, it sucks, and you're just like, there's no way I'm going to get to the point where I'm comfortable. And now, like we're in like smashing ice off of that sucker, and it's like less than a degree, you know, in terms of the temperature. And you jump in and you're like, yeah, it's cold. You get in, and after that initial kind of like, then it doesn't even take my breath away that much anymore. You can breathe through it, you know what I mean? And then you just sit there and you're chilling. And then it's basically, well, how much do you want to flirt with hypothermia? That's basically the big thing. You know, you're like, I can sit here for a while. So, you're like, what's the worth? Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty cool with it. Because, you know, we looked at what all the cold weather swimmers up here do, all the cold water swimmers do, go and smash and swim in the lakes and stuff. And they've got like neoprene gloves and a beanie hat, and they put like rubber, like wetsuit shoes on as well, because just to protect your extremities, because they're the things that hurt the most. Mm-hmm. And if you put those on, you can stay in there until basically you pass out. Like it just takes all the pain off. So
game changers.
Yeah. So you're kind of sitting in there and you're looking at a stopwatch and you're like, well, I've been in here for like 3-4 minutes. And at what point am I going to start just, you know, losing consciousness and slip underwater here, or do I lose the benefits? So you're like, so for us, it was like, we got into the habit of, once that we'd been able to control ourselves, so like the body had stopped like panicking, you know, you weren't all tense and your breathing hadn't gone shallow and you hadn't gone bonkers. As soon as you were just kind of like, yeah, I'm all right, and I've overcome the stimulus, then I think that's kind of the point, right? That's you're training that nervous system to be able to get that stimulation and be able to control it. So once we've done that, we're like, well, that's kind of it, really. So that's pretty much as much as we do at the moment. You know, it's going to feel so nice in the summer, I think, because, you know, it'll be up to the heady heights of like 7 or 8 degrees and it'll feel like a bath in comparison to what it is now. Yeah. I honestly, I mean, I like looking into all of that stuff, like the Wim Hof thing and, you know, looking at the breathing, and I played around with that. But realistically, I'm not in it for the physiological response, you know, as much as you might buy into that or not. It's just because it's mentally taxing. I don't want to do it. So in doing it, I kind of feel like I've accomplished something, right? It's all about, for me, every single day is about just, yeah, exactly, right? It's tough. I always have this thing going around in my head, which is, I don't think I am tough, but I fully recognize that tough people do tough things. And so therefore I'm like, right, well, if I want to do that kind of stuff, or if I aspire to have a little bit more resilience or a bit more about me, then I should be doing shitty stuff and trying to overcome it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's the main thing that I do it for, really, is I don't want to.
Just get uncomfortable every day for a little bit, you know?
That's right.
No, well, guys, listen, gee, that flew. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Was,
thanks for having us.
I'm going to have to rewatch this thing and just take some of the stuff.
No, paper and pen.
Right, just see me next Wednesday, 12 o'clock. I'll be there. I'll be the nerd in the front.
Make sure you bring an apple, mate.
For the teacher. I'll post it. No, well, I really appreciate it, man. We thank you so much. Are you guys?
Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
Thank you so much.
No, that's
so
it.
great to see you again.
Thank you, team.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anytime, mate. Anytime you want us, reach out as well. You got our details. Reach out. We're here.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
team. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a lovely day.
Have a great day.
Take
See
care.
you soon.
Bye-bye.
The Steaders.
Bye-bye.